Hello and welcome to Band on Demand. My name is Debbie Bellamy. I'm with the Howard County Library System, and I'll be giving you an introduction to Banned Books Week, including its history and significance, the 2024 theme, Freed Between the Lines, and I'll share the list of the top 10 most challenged titles of 2023. Banned Books Week is an annual event launched in 1982 in response to increased book challenges in bookstores, schools, and libraries. It brings together the whole book community: librarians, booksellers, publishers, journalists, teachers, and readers of all types to celebrate the freedom to read. Through education, advocacy, and programming, it is intended to highlight the value of free and open access to information and draw national attention to the harms of censorship. Banned Books Week is organized and maintained by the Banned Books Week Coalition and endorsed by the Center for the Book in the Library of Congress. Some notable sponsors of the coalition include the American Library Association, Amnesty International USA, Children's Book Council, Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, Little Free Library, National Book Foundation, National Council of Teachers of English, and PEN America, and that's just to name a few. For a book to be banned, it usually starts with what is called a challenge. A book challenge is an attempt, usually in writing or through a formal submission process, to remove or restrict access to a book or resource due to objections about its content. Challenges can be made by individuals or organizations. When a challenge is successful, the book in question is removed from the library's collection or access to it is restricted, sometimes by moving it to a different collection, putting age requirements on it, or keeping it secure behind a counter. This results in censorship, which restricts intellectual freedom because it denies individuals the right to choose what they read. The theme for this year's Banned Books Week is Freed Between the Lines, which celebrates the ways we can find freedom in the pages of a book and reminds us that book bans and censorship threaten that freedom. As defined by the American Library Association, or ALA, intellectual freedom asserts that every person has the right to access information from all points of view, in all formats, and without restriction, and that protection of this freedom assures every person's right to form their own ideas and opinions. Intellectual freedom means having the freedom to read. The ALA's Freedom to Read statement, made on June 25, 1953, says that we trust the people of this nation to make their own decisions about what they read and believe. Continuing to speak about the freedom to read, the ALA states that now, as always in our history, reading is among our greatest freedoms. This freedom allows for novelty and creativity, for choice and for change. This is why the ALA states that the written word is the natural medium for the new idea. And that's one of the reasons why this freedom is celebrated and protected. The freedom to read is protected at many levels. Internationally, the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights states in Article 19 that everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. Nationally, the freedom to read falls under the freedoms of expression protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which states that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. This was held up and reaffirmed in the Supreme Court ruling on the Island Trees School District versus Pico, a 1982 case that questioned a school board's ability to remove books from the school's library. The ruling of this case affirmed that the First Amendment protects the right to both express and receive ideas, and that the First Amendment includes the right to read library books of a student's choosing. The court's ruling, shared in the opinion of Justice Brennan, shared a concern that removing books will suppress ideas, and therefore, local school boards may not remove books from school library shelves simply because they dislike the ideas contained in those books. The freedom to read is affirmed and protected locally by Maryland's Freedom to Read Act, which was signed into law by Governor Moore on April 25, 2024, and went into immediate effect. It applies to public schools and public libraries, requiring them to follow state standards for reviewing and considering removing challenged books. It states that materials cannot be removed from a collection because of partisan, ideological, or religious disapproval. As stated in our materials selection policy, Howard County Library System supports the freedom to read by providing a vast and diverse collection of materials in all formats. It also states that public libraries have a responsibility to make available to the public books and other material offering the widest diversity of knowledge and ideas, views, and expressions so that citizens may choose freely from among a broad range of conflicting ideas. When requests for reconsideration are made, they are reviewed in alignment with Maryland law and according to the principles outlined by the Library Bill of Rights and the Freedom to Read Statement. The Library Bill of Rights, first adopted by the ALA Council on June 19, 1939, and most recently reaffirmed in 2019, provides clear guidelines regarding censorship. It states that materials should not be excluded because of the origin, background, or views of those contributing to their creation, and that materials should not be prescribed or removed because of partisan or doctrinal disapproval. Its call to action says that libraries should challenge censorship in the fulfillment of their responsibility to provide information and enlightenment. So, what are those challenges? The American Library Association, or ALA, uses data from news stories and reports filed by library professionals to compile reports on book challenges and censorship attempts in the United States. These reports show who is submitting challenges, where they are submitting challenges, and what they are challenging. The data and artwork here is courtesy of the American Library Association. First, the who. 28% of challenges and censorship attempts are made by patrons. 24% are by parents. 21% are by pressure groups. 13% are initiated by a library's own board or administration. 3% are by librarians, teachers, or staff. 2% are by elected officials or government entities, and 9% are unknown. Next is where these items are being challenged. In 2023, 54% of book challenges were directed at materials in public libraries, which is a 92% increase over prior years. Also in 2023, 39% of challenges were directed at school libraries, 5% at schools more generally, and 2% at higher education or other institutions. And finally, the what. The ALA tracked 1,247 censorship attempts in 2023. The majority of those, 76%, were attempts to censor materials like books and graphic novels. Not all censorship attempts come in the form of book challenges, though. 5% of censorship attempts were directed towards displays. 4% attempted to restrict access to libraries. 4% occurred through hate crimes such as vandalism or theft of materials. 3% attempted to censor programs. 2% were directed at films, with 6% falling into other. Looking specifically at book challenges, those 1,247 censorship demands included 4,240 unique titles, the highest number of titles targeted for censorship since ALA began compiling data more than 20 years ago. That's a 65% increase from last year, when 2,571 titles were challenged. Of those 4,240 unique titles, the number one most challenged title in 2023 was Genderqueer by Maya Kobabe. Published in 2019, Genderqueer was also the number one most challenged title in 2022 and 2021. The main reasons cited for challenging it were that it contained LGBTQIA+ content and was sexually explicit. Published in 2020, All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson was the number 2 most challenged book of 2023. It was also the number 2 most challenged book in 2022 and the number 3 most challenged book in 2021. The main reasons cited for challenging it were that it contained LGBTQIA+ content and was sexually explicit. Published in 2014, This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson was the number 3 most challenged book of 2023. It was also tied for the 13th most challenged book in 2022 and was the 9th most challenged book in 2021. The main reasons cited for challenging it were that it contained LGBTQIA+ content, sex education, and was sexually explicit. Published in 1999, The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky was the number 4 most challenged book in 2023. It was also number 6 in 2022, number 8 in 2014, number 8 in 2013, number 3 in 2009, number 6 in 2008, number 10 in 2007, number 8 in 2006, and number 5 in 2004. The main reasons cited for challenging it were that it was sexually explicit and that it contained LGBTQIA+ content, rape, drugs, and profanity. Published in 2020, Flamer by Mike Curato was the number 5 most challenged book of 2023. It was also the 4th most challenged book in 2022. The main reasons cited for challenging it were that it contained LGBTQIA+ content and was sexually explicit. Published in 1970, The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison was the number 6 most challenged book of 2023. It was also number 3 in 2022, number 8 in 2021, number 9 in 2020, number 4 in 2014, number 2 in 2013, and number 5 in 2006. The same year, 2006, Toni Morrison had the honor of being named twice on the top 10 list, with her novel Beloved placing 9th. The main reasons cited for challenging it were that it contained rape, incest, sexually explicit content, and EDI, or equity, diversity, and inclusion content. Published in 2012, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews tied for the 7th, 8th most challenged book of 2023. It was also tied for the 12th and 13th most challenged title in 2022, and it was the 7th most challenged title in 2021. The main reasons cited for challenging it were that it contained profanity and sexually explicit content. Published in 2009, Tricks by Ellen Hopkins tied for the 7th and 8th most challenged book of 2023. This was the first time Tricks has made the top 10 list, which ALA has been compiling since 2001. The main reasons cited for challenging it were that it contained drugs, rape, LGBTQIA+ content, and sexually explicit content. Published in 2021, Let's Talk About It by Erica Moen and Matthew Nolan was the number 9 most challenged book of 2023. This was the first time Let's Talk About It has made the top 10 list. The main reasons cited for challenging it were that it was sexually explicit, included sex education, and contained LGBTQIA+ content. Published in 2006, Sold by Patricia McCormick was the number 10 most challenged book of 2023. This was the first time Sold has made the top 10 list. The main reasons cited for challenging it were that it contained rape and sexually explicit content. You may have noticed a trend in the reasons cited for challenging those titles. 9 of the top 10 most challenged books of 2023 are either by or about LGBTQIA+ or BIPOC individuals. Of all of the titles challenged in 2023, 47%, or 1,993 titles, represent the voices and lived experiences of LGBTQIA+ and BIPOC individuals. Books, like libraries, are for everyone, which is why Howard County Library System works to provide equitable, inclusive access to diverse materials and resources. Being freed between the lines is just one of the many ways you can learn, connect, and grow with the library. To keep Banned Books Week going, here are some other ways you can stay involved with Banned Books Week and with HCLS. You can attend upcoming classes at HCLS by going to the library's calendar on our website. You can share your feedback with HCLS by filling out our survey. You can follow Banned Books Week year-round at their website. You can learn more about banned books and view the Banned Books Top 10 archive on the ALA's website. You can also follow Howard County Library System on social media to see what we are doing next. Thank you for tuning in to Be Freed Between the Lines.